Wow. Paul says it like this in Philippians chapter 2 and verse 14, considering he's an advisor while he was in prison, and he's talking to people in Philippi. Well, he was in prison, and he said it like this, Philippians 2 and verse 14, do everything without grumbling or arguing. How can you have that kind of attitude when your building is burning down, when your house is not in order, when things are turning upside down, when relationships are flipping, when things just don't seem like it's going to work out, when the tax collector is after your house, when the debt collector is about to repossess your house, when they're after your car, how can you remain calm? And how can you do everything? Paul did not say some things, but he said everything without grumbling and arguing. How is it possible? It has to be God. Amen. Go ahead.
Yeah, all I can think is we don't have to react because we're living on a different dimension than the earthly things. And I just want to read this really quick. It says in Jeremiah 33:3, it says, call to me and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things which you do not know. So there are things that we don't know. It might look scary. It might look, we're losing our mind. We're losing our lives. We're losing everything. But I know my God personally. Yes. I know what he did for me. And that's what gives me peace. That's what holds me together. That's why I'm not reacting.
Right.
You know, there are many stories in the Bible I'm looking at and I'm learning from how God just took them to deep waters for a purpose. Whenever we're losing our job or whatever might happen in your life, it's for a purpose.
Yes.
We don't see things, you know. That's why we have to call upon him so he can show them to us, and therefore the peace will come into our souls in the midst of chaos.
Amen. And I hear Jesus saying, as he was in the middle of that sea, in the ocean, and everybody around them was saying, Jesus, the boat is about, and he's just down there sleeping. He's just sleeping away. What kind of attitude do you have in time of crisis? See, the only people that will flip in the midst of crisis is the people that feels as if they have control some way. Their words are able to make a difference. Their actions and the things they do toward or against someone is going to change the situation. But in the middle of crisis, if we will just say, Father, it is out of my hand. I always use this terminology. I said, the time I know that God is completely in control is when I realized I have no control. God, you see what I'm saying? God cannot. Here's another thing I would say, that God will not do what you are able to do. See, so if you're in crisis and there is a situation where you can change it, it is not crisis. If you are able to change the situation manually, that's not crisis. In fact, I always say a miracle is something that had never happened before. So in order for a miracle to happen in your life, it's got to be a new thing that you have nothing, I have no control over. Glory be to God. Pastor Eric.
You know, you nailed it right there. It's a divine intervention. Anytime that you come into that place, there's a divine intervention. There's a supernatural step into, and especially when it comes to a crisis. One thing that popped in my head was for every action, there's a reaction. And we have that ability to look at the action that's happening there and go, do I react to it? There's a pause there, and exactly to where we can rein it in and go, okay, Father. Okay, again, if we really are Christians, we go to the Father right off the bat so that the reaction is not always based upon how the world reacts to things. We have a divine connection with God who can control it, change it, supernaturally step in, move it, whatever he's got to do. At that moment, the reaction can be different than the action.
And I'll give you this good time in, Pastor. In your humanity, it's normal to have an emotional reaction in a response to crisis. Okay? So let me repeat that for you. In your humanity, in other words, it's natural, it's normal to have an emotional reaction in response to crisis. But the moment you get a grip, the moment you realize that you have no control, it is a perfect opportunity to say, Jesus, why would I fuss about this? There are people that fuss people out about something that they have no control over. There is no way it's going to stop. There is no, you go to some places, and if you go to some business and they'll tell you that's the price, It's like if Facebook kicks you off right now, there is no customer service to call and say, why did you kick me off, off of your platform? It's literally like, okay, I have no control. I just leave them to God. So you just, that's a very good one. Everybody is mumbling about the gas. Tell me, what control do you have? And I was listening to a gentleman today, and he was saying, I went to the pump, a very good example, and he said he went to the pump and he noticed the trend that everybody's got is taking pictures of how much they are paying for their gas. Yeah. And they're posting these pictures and they're saying, listen, the gas prices is crazy. And he said as he got to the pump and he filled his tank, the Lord spoke to him right away and said, look back at the times when you didn't have the money to fill the tank. Amen. Oh, glory be to God. Look back over your life and think it over. See, you have no control now, but I've made provision for you to be able to fill your tank in the middle of crisis. My God.
Oh, I feel like praising God.
Amen.
That's the key right there. In the midst of our uncontrollable
He
situation,
makes provision.
He does, yes.
And that is the key to all of this. In the middle of your crisis. So God is not saying just be silent and watch yourself getting to bankruptcy. God is saying in the midst of crisis, when you have no control, let me be in control.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Amen.